The message came without warning. Across every star system, every communication hub, every warship, screens went black. Then, a single voice spoke in hundreds of languages. Calm, cold, final. Effective immediately, all humans are permanently banned from participating in galactic warfare. This order is final and cannot be challenged. No reason was given. No explanation. The voice vanished. The screens returned to normal. But something had changed. On the training deck of the Celari Military Academy, a young alien cadet named Koro stared at the screen. His classmates whispered in confusion. A few looked scared. Others just laughed nervously. Humans banned. Why now? Someone muttered. Koro frowned. He had always heard stories about humans, creatures from the death world called Earth. They were strange, dangerous, and often unpredictable. But they were warriors, soldiers. Some even called them heroes. Koro turned to his commander, an old war officer named Sirac. "Sir," he asked, "why are humans banned from war?" Commander Sirac didn't answer right away. His eyes were fixed on the screen. Then he turned, face pale. "Because we still remember what they did." Koro felt a chill run down his spine. Later that night, Koro sat in the Academy's archive hall. He couldn't sleep. His curiosity was burning. He tapped into the public war records, searching for human combat files. But something strange happened. Almost every file had been deleted or marked restricted by Council order. He searched again. Still nothing. Then one file appeared. Broken, glitched, but it had a title. Battle of WarGalacticPrime. Human involvement. Koro clicked. Static filled the screen. Then came flashes, images of fire, smoke, and shadows. Human soldiers moved like ghosts. They didn't wear armor like other species, just light gear, fast and flexible. Their eyes glowed with rage. Alien screams echoed through the footage. Explosions, panic, and then silence. The screen went black. Only 2 words remained. Contain them. Koro leaned back, confused and shaken. Why had the council hidden this? The next morning, during strategy class, Koro raised his hand. "Commander Sirac, I found old footage. From WarGalacticPrime. Why was it hidden?" Sarac's face turned hard. The room went silent. "You're not authorized to view that," he said sharply. "But why?" Koro asked. "What happened there?" The commander's voice dropped. Something the galaxy should never see again. After class, Koro wasn't satisfied. He followed a rumor he had heard in the halls about a war veteran who had fought alongside humans, a pilot named Veldrenak, now living alone on a mining station near the Outer Rings. Koro sent a request to visit. No reply. He sent it again. This time, he received a short message. "If you come here, you come with questions you won't like the answers to." Koro went anyway. The mining station was dark and old, filled with broken machines and empty halls. Veldrenak was waiting in a dusty room, sitting with a bottle and a shaking metal hand. "You're braver than you look," Vel said, his voice rough. "I need to know," Koro said. "What happened with the humans?" Vel stared at him for a long time. Then, slowly, he reached for a small data chip. "Sit down," he said. "I'll tell you what the council won't." The old pilot took a deep breath. "I was young, like you. I flew transports during the last Great War. We were losing badly. Enemy fleets outnumbered us, planet by planet. Then, the humans arrived. Just one squad. No big ships, no fancy tech. Just them." He laughed bitterly. "We all thought they were crazy. But when they'd fought, Koro, they moved like death itself. They didn't fear pain. They didn't run. They hunted. One of them, called Ash, walked straight through a wall of fire to reach an enemy commander. He came out covered in blood, but smiling. Koro listened in silence. They didn't just win battles. They ended wars. Fast, brutal, too brutal. Even their allies feared them. I watched as they stormed Varkan Prime. The enemy surrendered before the sun set. No one had seen anything like it. Vel's hands trembled. But then the council panicked. They didn't like what they had created. Humans were too good at war, too unpredictable. So they shut down the human war program, tried to erase the records, tried to ban the truth. Koro leaned forward. Is that why they banned humans now? Vel nodded. They're scared. Not of what humans might do, but of what they already did. He looked Koro in the eye. The galaxy doesn't want peace. It wants control. And humans, they don't follow rules. They make their own. Koro left the station with more questions than answers, but one thing was clear. The ban wasn't to protect others from humans. It was to protect power from being challenged. Back at the academy, Koro opened his personal log. He stared at the screen and typed, "The council has lied. I will find the truth, even if it kills me." The stars outside the academy looked peaceful, but Koro's thoughts were in chaos. The story that the old pilot, Vel Dranok, told him had changed everything. He couldn't sleep. He couldn't stop thinking about the humans, how they fought, how they won, and why the council was so afraid of them. The next morning, Koro skipped training and headed to the deep archives, an underground data vault below the academy. Only high-rank officers had access, but Koro had a trick. His friend in engineering, Zin, owed him a favor. Zin was nervous. "You sure about this?" he whispered as he hacked the door panel. "They'll erase you if they catch you." "I need to know," Koro said. The heavy doors slid open with a hiss. Inside, walls of glowing data cores stretched high above. Koro moved quickly, checking files by date and tag. Most were locked. Some had been deleted. Then, finally, he found a directory labeled Human Combat Records. Restricted. The warning flashed. TLAS 5 seal errants required. Koro used the override keys Zin gave him. The screen flickered. Then, slowly, the files opened. He clicked on one. The screen showed a dark battlefield with hundreds of alien soldiers huddled in fear. A voice whispered, "They're coming." Then the camera turned. 3 human soldiers were walking calmly through smoke covered in blood and ash. One of them raised a hand. "No survivors," he said. "End it fast." Koro's heart pounded. He clicked another file. This time, it showed a council meeting. An alien general shouted, "We cannot allow Earth to continue this madness." They do not fight for peace. They fight because they enjoy it. Another voice, calm and logical, responded, "They win. That's all that matters." Then the screen cut to black. Koro downloaded the files onto a small drive and turned to leave, but the lights suddenly flashed red. Security breach. He had been caught. Koro ran. Alarms rang through the halls. He raced up the spiral stairway and burst into the top level, only to be met by 3 guards. "Halt! Drop the device." One barked. Koro hesitated, then threw the drive across the hall to Zin, who had just arrived. "Get it out," Koro shouted before the guards tackled him to the ground. Darkness. He woke in a cold metal cell, bruised and dizzy. Hours passed. Then the door opened. Commander Sarek entered, arms crossed. "What were you looking for?" Sarek asked. Koro sat up. "The truth. You know it. Why are you all hiding it?" Sarek didn't answer. He stared at the wall. "Humans were made for war," he said finally. "Not born. Made. They created something called Project Earthfire, a way to enhance themselves. Physically, mentally, emotionally. They became unstoppable." Koro leaned forward. "Then why were they banned? Why lie?" Sarek turned to him, voice low. "Because we lost control of them." Silence. "We thought we could use them," Sarek said. "Point them at our enemies. Let them fight our wars. But humans don't work like that. They saw corruption in the council. They started helping the weak, protecting slaves, saving those we wanted to ignore. They stopped following orders. He looked directly at Koro. They became a threat. So we erased them from history. Koro stood slowly. But they weren't the monsters, were they? No, Sarek said softly. We were. The door opened again. Zin walked in, holding the drive. I made a copy, he whispered to Koro. The truth is out now. Koro smiled, weak but determined. Sarek sighed. You've already gone too far. The council will come for you. Koro nodded. Then I'll be ready. As night fell, Koro and Zin escaped the academy through the supply tunnels. The stars above felt different now. Dangerous. Heavy. But Koro wasn't afraid anymore. He had seen the truth, and he knew what he had to do. Find the last human. The spaceport was quiet, the air filled with the low hum of ships and the smell of oil. Koro walked slowly, his cloak pulled over his head. Zin walked beside him, checking the small tracker in his hand. He should be here, Zin said. The signal leads to Bay 17. They turned a corner and stopped. In front of them stood an old ship, rusted, patched, and barely flying. Beside it sat a tall alien with scars across his arms, a steel plate on his jaw, and one glowing red eye. That's him, Koro whispered, the one who fought with humans. The man noticed them and stood up. He didn't look surprised. I figured someone would come, he said. You're the kid who broke into the council archives, right? Koro nodded. My name is Yerek, the old warrior said. And you better have a good reason for risking your life to find me. Koro took out the drive. I know what the council did. I want to hear it from someone who was there. Yerek stared at the boy for a long time. Then, with a tired sigh, he pointed to the ship. Come aboard. But be warned. What I tell you, you can't forget. Once you know, there's no going back. Inside the ship, everything was old and quiet. Tools hung on the wall. A broken metal lay on a dusty table. Yerek poured 2 drinks and sat. It was 20 years ago, he began. The Battle of GalacticPrime. We had been losing for months. The enemy, Renak Hive, was everywhere. They had bigger ships, more numbers. We were desperate. He paused, eyes far away. Then Earth answered the call. Koro leaned forward. They didn't send armies, Yerek continued. They sent one squad. Just one. 6 humans, all trained under Project Earthfire. We laughed when we saw them. No armor, no fear, no orders. Just confidence. He shook his head slowly. Then the battle started. Yerek tapped a button. A hologram appeared, showing the battlefield. Fires. Crashed ships. Alien troops running in panic. They landed behind enemy lines. No support. No backup. In the first hour, they wiped out 3 command posts. In the second hour, they cut off the Renak supply lines. By sunset, the hive leader was dead, and humans were still moving. He pointed to a figure in the hologram, a tall human in black, face covered by a mask. That was Ash, the leader. He never spoke much, but when he fought, he was a storm. I saw him walk through poison gas, tear through metal with his hands, and smile while doing it. Koro stared, amazed. They weren't just strong, Yerek said. They were angry, focused. They fought like the galaxy had done them wrong, and maybe it had. He sighed. After that battle, other planets started calling for human help, but the Council didn't like that. They wanted control, not heroes. What happened then? Zin asked quietly. They tried to silence Earth, Yerek said. Told them to stand down. Earth refused. Said they would fight where they were needed. Not for power. For justice. Yerek stood and walked to a dusty cabinet. He opened it and pulled out a helmet. Black, with claw marks and the Earthfire symbol. I watched the Council betray them, he said. framed them for war crimes, ordered all files destroyed, declared them too dangerous. But they weren't dangerous, Koro said. They were just better. Exactly, Yarrick nodded. Too good, too brave, too human. There was silence for a moment. Then Koro asked, "Do you know where they went after the ban?" Yarrick shook his head. Some say they went underground. Others think they built their own fleet, hidden beyond the edge of known space. He looked at Koro. But if they're out there, they're watching, waiting. And when they return, the galaxy will never be the same. Koro stood up. He felt something new in his chest. Fire. "Then I'll find them," he said. "They deserve to be remembered." Yarrick smiled for the first time. "Good, just be careful. The Council fears one thing more than humans in war: people telling the truth." As Koro and Zin left the ship, a dark figure watched them from the shadows. A Council agent. He tapped his communicator. "They've made contact with the old soldier," the agent whispered. "Permission to move." A cold voice replied, "Not yet. Let them run. Let them dig. When they find the humans, we'll destroy them all." The dark space station floated quietly near the edge of the outer rim. It had no name, no markings. To most ships, it was just dead metal. But Koro and Zin knew it was something more. "This is where it started," Koro said, looking at the scanner. "Project Earthfire was born here." They had followed old records from Yarrick's ship, hidden coordinates deep inside broken logs. It took days to decode, but now they were here. The ship docked with a soft thud. The airlock opened, hissing cold air into the hallway. Zin shivered. "Feels like a tomb." Koro nodded. "Let's find the lab." They moved slowly through the silent halls. Dust covered the floors. Lights flickered. Old warning signs still glowed on the walls. "Authorized pure zone NAL only. GE Nideki testing zone. Warning. Biohazard." Then they found it. The large steel door, broken open. Inside, the lab was still intact. Barely. Machines stood frozen. Screens cracked. In the center was a long table with restraints. Koro stared at it. "This is where they changed them," he whispered. Zin walked over to a console and connected his tool. After a few minutes, the screen blinked alive. A file opened. Pro GalacticPrime HFY. Experiment log 001. Koro read aloud. Subject 1. Human volunteer. Enhanced strength, reflexes, and regeneration. Emotional suppression training failed. Subject displays high loyalty to justice over command. He looked at Zin. They tried to control them, but couldn't. Another file appeared. Subject 3. Terminated. Subject 4. Escaped. Then came a video log. They watched as a young human, barely more than a teenager, sat on the table, hooked to wires. A voice off-screen asked questions. "Do you feel pain?" The human nodded. "Do you understand the mission?" "Yes," he said. "Protect the weak. Destroy evil. Nothing else matters." The screen glitched, then showed the human standing, pulling the wires free. Alarms sounded. "Too unstable," the voice said. "Shut it down." The video ended. Zin looked shaken. They weren't just soldiers. They were experiments. Koro clenched his fists. The Council created weapons, but the weapons grew a conscience. Just then, the console beeped. Another file unlocked. Top secret. EARTHFIRE termination order. Koro opened it. The message read, "Subjects too independent. Refuse control. Initiate full erasure. Destroy all surviving units. Blame for civilian casualties will be fabricated." Koro's eyes widened. They tried to kill them all. Zin whispered, "And lie about it to the galaxy." Suddenly, the lights flickered red. The door slammed shut. A voice echoed through the lab. Unauthorized access detected. Council security en route. Koro grabbed the data chip. We need to move. Now. They ran through the dark hallways, back toward their ship. But ahead, shadows moved. 3 black armored soldiers stood in their path, weapons raised. By council order, you are under arrest for information theft and treason, the leader said. Koro stepped forward, voice steady. We know the truth. You're the traitors. The council created monsters and called them heroes until they couldn't control them. The soldier didn't answer. He raised his rifle. Then, from the side, a blur moved fast, too fast to see. In 1 second, the soldiers were disarmed. In the next, they were unconscious on the floor. Koro stared in shock. A figure stood between them and the fallen guards. Human, dressed in black. No armor, just calm eyes and quiet breath. You boys make too much noise, she said. Zin stepped back. You're one of them. The woman nodded. Name's Ray. Earthfire Class 2. Koro couldn't speak. He had found her. You're real, he whispered. You're alive. Rad looked at him carefully. You're the one digging for the truth. Yarrick sent a signal. Said someone young and stupid was coming. I'm not stupid, Koro said. She smiled slightly. We'll see. Zin finally found his voice. Why are you hiding? Rad looked serious now. Because the council hunts us. Not because we're evil, but because we know what they are. She walked past them, pointing down the hall. Come on, I'll take you somewhere safe. But if you want more answers, you'll have to meet the others. The others? Koro asked. The survivors, she said. The last of Earthfire. They followed her into the shadows. Behind them, alarms kept ringing. But ahead of them, hope was growing. Ray's ship was old, quiet, and fast. It moved like a shadow through space, hiding from every scanner. Koro and Zin sat in the back, still processing what had just happened. You're taking us to the other humans? Koro asked. Ray didn't turn around. To what's left of them? Not many survived. Why help us? Zin asked. You don't even know us. I know people who search for truth, Ray said. They're rare, worth saving. The ship passed into deep space, uncharted zones where no star maps reached. After hours of silence, Ray finally pointed to a small planet hidden in the dark. That's it, she said. We call it Haven. The ship landed in a canyon surrounded by thick mist and rock walls. As they stepped out, Koro saw shapes move through the fog. Silent. Fast. Then the humans appeared. There were only 6 of them. All wore simple black gear. None looked like soldiers. Yet each of them carried the weight of war in their eyes. One stepped forward. He was tall, with gray streaks in his hair and a long scar across his face. This is Ash, Ray said. He led the first Earthfire unit. Ash looked at Koro carefully. So, you're the one who woke the storm. Koro nodded, unsure what to say. Ash motioned for them to follow. They entered a cave system lit by small lights and humming machines. Inside was a command room. Maps, weapons, old records. This was more than a hideout. It was a base. Koro looked around, amazed. You've been hiding all this time. No, Ash said. We've been watching. Waiting. We never stopped fighting. We just changed how. Zin asked, why didn't you come back? Tell the galaxy what happened. Ray answered, because truth doesn't matter to those in power. They control the news, the history, the fear. Ash added, but cracks are forming. The people are angry. The council is weaker than they look. Koro stepped forward, full of fire. Then let's expose them. We have proof. We have your story. If we share it, everything changes. Ash shook his head. We tried that. Long ago. The moment we spoke, the council called us traitors and sent fleets to hunt us. But we're not alone anymore, Koro insisted. Others will listen now. The room went quiet. Finally, one of the other humans, a woman with silver eyes, spoke. Maybe it's time. Maybe the galaxy is ready. Ash looked at her, then back at Koro. You want to bring the truth to the stars. You'll need more than words. You'll need strength. Koro stood tall. Then teach me. Ash studied him for a long time, then nodded. The next days were hard. Koro trained with the Earthfire survivors. They taught him how to fight, how to think fast, how to move without fear. Ray trained him in silent strikes. Ash taught him how to lead. You don't need strength to win, Ash said. You need purpose and control. Koro trained until his arms shook and his legs burned. He failed again and again. But each time, he got up. One night, while resting near the fire, Ray sat beside him. You remind me of someone, she said. Who? Koro asked. A boy who once believed truth could save the galaxy, she replied. He died. The day he learned truth alone isn't enough. Koro looked at her. I'm not him. No, Ray said softly. You might be better. Suddenly, a loud beep echoed through the cave. Zin ran in from the comm room. Panicked. They found us. Ash was already moving. Get to the ships. Scatter. They won't take us all if we split. Outside, the night sky lit up with fire. Council warships were descending fast. How did they find us? Ray shouted. Koro looked at Zin. I used the communicator to scan, Zin said, horrified. I didn't know it was tagged. Ash grabbed Koro's shoulder. You still have the data drive? Yes. Good. Take Ray. Get off this planet. No matter what happens, get that truth to the galaxy. Koro hesitated. What about you? We'll buy you time. Explosions shook the canyon as Council dropships landed. Black armored troops poured out, weapons ready. Koro and Ray ran toward the back launch bay. Zin followed, tears in his eyes. I'm sorry, he shouted. I didn't mean. We know, Ray said. Just move. Behind them, Ash and the other humans engaged the Council troops. The sounds of battle filled the air. Shouts, blasts, the roar of human rage unleashed once again. As their ship launched into space, Koro looked down through the viewport. He saw Ash, fighting alone, surrounded but unbroken. Then the flames swallowed the canyon. Koro clenched the data drive in his hand. They gave everything, he whispered. Now it's our turn. Ra looked at him with pride and sadness. Let's finish what they started. The ship vanished into hyperspace, toward the heart of the galaxy, and toward a battle far bigger than Koro had ever imagined. The ship flew through hyperspace, silent and fast. Koro sat in the co-pilot's seat, gripping the data drive tightly. His heart was heavy with loss. Ash, the Earthfire warriors, the base on Haven, all gone. But their mission wasn't. We're heading to the core worlds, Ray said, to a place where truth can't be silenced. Zin sat behind them, quiet since they escaped. He had barely spoken after realizing he'd led the Council to the hideout. Koro finally turned to him. It wasn't your fault. The Council uses tech traps. You didn't know. Zin didn't reply. He just nodded, guilt in his eyes. As the ship approached the core, the stars grew thicker and the space lanes busier. Massive space stations hovered above planet after planet. The heart of the galaxy was alive. Ray piloted the ship toward a hidden outpost in orbit around Arcos Prime, a media hub planet known for its rebel channels and pirate broadcasts. We'll upload the data here, Ray said. Once it hits the net, every system in the galaxy will see what the Council tried to hide. They landed in the shadows of a broken station. Inside, graffiti covered the walls. Old wires hung like vines. But deep in the back, a room buzzed with power. A group of tech rebels greeted them. One of them, an alien with glowing eyes named Fix, recognized Ray. Still alive. Fix said, "That's a surprise." "Truth is hard to kill," Ray replied. Koro handed over the data drive. "This is everything. Earthfire, the Council's lies, their war crimes. Can you get it out?" Fix grinned, with style. He connected the drive. Screens around the room lit up. Images and files filled the air. Holograms of Earthfire tests, recordings of Council lies, videos of humans saving entire planets. "Holy stars," one of the rebels said. "This will break the system." But then, the power flickered. Warning lights flashed red. "No, no, no," Fix shouted. "They traced us." Koro's stomach dropped. "How?" Zin's voice was soft, pained. "It's not the drive. It's me. They tagged me too." "Out," Ray yelled. "Everyone scatter." Before they could move, explosions rocked the outpost. Council soldiers dropped from the ceiling. Black armor, red visors, rifles ready. Chaos. Koro grabbed the drive and dove behind cover. Ray fought like a shadow, moving through the smoke. Zin stayed low, helping the rebels escape. But they were outnumbered. Suddenly, a council commander stepped into the room. Tall, cold. His armor was silver, high rank. He spoke with no emotion. "You will not win. The truth dies here." Ray stepped in front of Koro. "Not today." They fought. Hard. Ray landed blow after blow, but the commander was faster, stronger, augmented. He grabbed Ray by the throat and slammed her to the floor. Koro shouted, running at him. The commander turned. "You think you're special, boy. Just another name to erase." But Koro didn't stop. He remembered Ash's words, purpose and control. He moved low, fast, striking the commander's weak joint. The blow worked. The commander staggered back. Ray kicked him with full force, sending him crashing into the console. Sparks flew. Lights burst. The commander didn't move. Fix limped over. "I finished the upload. It's out. Every planet. Every channel. It's too late for them to stop it now." Koro stared at the screen. Every system in the galaxy was lighting up with one name, Project Earthfire. "The galaxy will know," Ray said, catching her breath. But their moment of victory was cut short. A deep, rumbling voice echoed through the broken comms. "You have made your choice. Now face the storm." Outside, thousands of ships appeared. Council fleets, warships, fighters. "They're going to shut down every planet that spreads this message," Fix said. "This isn't just a fight for truth anymore. It's a war for freedom." Koro looked out the window at the massive fleet, and for the first time, he didn't feel fear. He felt ready. "Then we fight," he said, "not just for Earthfire. For everyone who's been silenced." Ray placed a hand on his shoulder. "We'll need allies." "We'll find them," Koro said. "The galaxy is awake now." In the stars above, signals blinked across space. Calls for help, calls for resistance, calls for rebellion. The truth had been unleashed, and the war was just beginning. The galaxy was on fire. After the Earthfire files were released, nothing was the same. Millions of people across hundreds of worlds watched the truth with wide eyes and clenched fists. The Council's lies were exposed, how they created super soldiers, how they betrayed the humans, how they erased their own mistakes with blood and silence. Now, the people were angry. On mining colonies, workers refused to obey. On farming worlds, leaders tore down council banners. Even peaceful diplomats on core planets raised their voices in protest. But the council was not going to fall quietly. They declared martial law. They called it a galactic emergency. And they sent their fleets. The stars turned red. Koro, Ray, and Zin stood on the command deck of the rebel flagship Dawnfire, watching as messages poured in from dozens of systems. "They're coming," Ray said. "All of them." Koro nodded. "So are we." Allies began to answer the call, small, brave groups from across space. alien pirates, human refugees, old mercenary ships, and forgotten warrior clans. It wasn't a mighty army. It was something stronger. It was everyone who had suffered under the Council's rule and finally had a reason to fight. Fix patched into the ship's speakers. Final wave inbound. Council's main fleet is gathering at Harkin 7. We stop them there, or we lose everything. Koro looked at Ray. Ready? She smiled faintly. Been waiting years for this. The rebel fleet jumped to hyperspace. They arrived above Harkin 7, a cold gray planet surrounded by metal space docks and floating fortresses. The Council's fleet waited like a wall of death. Thousands of ships, endless firepower. The rebel fleet looked tiny in comparison. But they had something the Council didn't. The truth. Koro activated the comms, broadcasting to every system, every soldier, every citizen. This is Koro of the Earthfire Resistance. Today, we fight not for revenge, but for freedom. The Council hid behind fear. We bring hope. If we fall knowing we stood up. If we win, we change everything. Ray added quietly, no matter what happens, they'll remember. Then the war began. Laser fire lit up the stars. Ships danced between blasts. Explosions shook space, and soldiers clashed aboard boarding crafts and stations. The sky was full of fire and courage. Koro led a strike team toward the heart of the Council command ship. Ray fought beside him, moving like lightning. Zin disabled defense systems from afar, turning the enemy's strength against them. Inside the command ship, they found the Council's final leader, a man made more of metal than flesh. Cold, ruthless. You were mistakes, he said. You should have been erased. Koro stepped forward, holding his ground. We were human. You just couldn't control us. The fight was brutal. The Council leader had power, speed, and tech. But Koro had purpose. He remembered Ash, Ray, every rebel who gave their life. He fought with all of them in his heart. When the Council leader finally fell, sparks flying from his broken armor, silence filled the ship. Outside, the Council fleet, seeing their leader fall and hearing the people rise, began to break apart. Some fled, some surrendered, some even turned their weapons against their masters. The war was ending. Ray sat beside Koro on the command deck of the Dawnfire, watching the stars. It's over, she said. Koro shook his head. No, it's just beginning. They knew the fight wasn't truly finished. The Council had fallen, but healing the galaxy would take years, maybe longer. But for the first time in a long time, people had hope. In the days that followed, the Resistance helped form the new Galactic Accord, a union of free worlds. No more secrets. No more super soldier programs. No more lies. Koro didn't become a ruler. He didn't want to be. He became something stronger, a voice of memory. He told the story of Earthfire, of the banned humans who were stronger than the lies, braver than the machines, and kinder than the ones who made them. And across the galaxy, people remembered. Ray returned to the shadows. She trained others, not in war, but in truth. Zin rebuilt a home for survivors. Fix helped launch a new net free from control. And in time, new stars rose. The galaxy had changed. All because a small group chose to fight back. All because the Council forgot one thing. You can ban a people. You can erase a name. But you can't stop the truth. Not forever. And never when humans are the ones carrying it.